Hello, and welcome to another bonus episode of Incoming. We've got two things for you today. In the second half of today's bonus episode, you're going to hear me talking at length about the new Kathryn Bigelow movie, A House of Dynamite. But first, it's another episode of It Meets You Where You Are, in which I call people at a random time and tell them the missile's coming. Today's guest is Andre. Andre, thank you so much for getting in touch and letting me call you, and let's hear what he has to say. Andre, are you there?
Yes, sir.
This is David calling from Incoming. How you doing?
Good. It's a pleasure to hear from you.
Okay, so where are you right now?
I am on Interstate 49 on my way to Jasper, Arkansas.
Okay. And you're in a car?
I am.
And, okay, so your phone buzzes. You get the alert right now. Ballistic missile inbound. Take shelter immediately. This is not a drill. What are you going to do?
Oh, man. You know, I've been thinking about this for days, and I've always been at work when I thought about this. And honestly, I think you caught me at the best time.
Best time for me or best time for you?
Best time for me.
Okay. So where are you going to go?
Well, I have nowheres to go. I'm in the middle of nowhere, and I have, a 7-hour drive ahead of me.
So you're there's a lot of national forest around that part of Arkansas, right?
I will be going to a forest. Yes, I'll be rock climbing, but I have a long ways till that. So,
okay.
In 20 minutes, I think I would pull off the road and I would go wander into the woods, and I would just really enjoy nature for the last 20 minutes.
I think that's a very sound plan. So you wouldn't start frantically making phone calls to people. You would just try to go have a singular experience in nature at the end.
I mean, I'm sure I would have a handful of people to text real quick, text my girlfriend and my parents, but I mean, that could be a very long list. That could take an hour. So I would make it a short list, a quick, hey, I love you. And then I would just, pull on the shoulder and go walk through the grass and the trees and listen to the birds and just enjoy it one last time.
I think that's an incredibly smart idea. What can you say at that point that is really going to be oh, I've always wanted to tell you this? So maybe just letting them know briefly that you're thinking of them, but having a moment to yourself to sort of contemplate infinity amongst a bunch of trees might be good.
Yeah, I mean, I try to live my life in the way that I always let people know how I'm feeling, and I love most of the people in my life, so I let them know that as often as I can. So I don't think I could tell them anything in this last moment that would shock them.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I mean, forgive me for editorializing, but I had to tell my dad that his dad had died. And what he said, he took a minute and thought about it, and he said, well, there was nothing that I needed to say to him that I hadn't said, and there was nothing that I needed to hear from him that I hadn't heard. And that's the goal, right? That sounds like, based on the way you say you live your life, hopefully you're going to find yourself in that same position.
Yeah.
Okay, so you go out into the woods. It's kind of approaching dusk in Chicago. We're in the same time zone. Is it pretty dark there?
It is not dark yet. The sun is just above the tree line to my left. But there's still, we're hitting golden hour.
Okay, that's kind of ideal. Pretty cinematic, frankly. It's not why I chose to call right now, but I'm glad it worked out that way. So
I think it's a beautiful apocalypse.
So you're going to go into the woods, find a stump, maybe look off into the... What are you, in the Smokies there? Is it the Smoky Mountains?
No, I'm quite a few hours west of the Smokies.
The Smokies are North Carolina. This is
Yeah, it's about Tennessee and all, so that's probably about, 9 hours to my east.
The Ozarks?
Yes, I'm going towards the Ozarks.
Okay.
Because I'm on the interstate, I would probably spend a good 10 minutes or so walking into the woods to try and get as far from it as I can, try to get as sound pollution away from me as possible. And I think I would just go lay down in the dirt and the grass, something I haven't often done.
I think that's a great idea. You have to assume that if you're a target, that they're nuking Branson, that Branson's got to be the target there, right? That.
I have no clue. I haven't paid attention to the street sign.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Andre, for letting me call you and pose that existential question. You should be next out there in listener land. If you are willing to submit to having me call you at a random time, I would love to talk to you. Email me, david@incomingpodcast.com, and let's set it up. And now it's time for Incoming at the Movies. As you might imagine, a number of people have reached out to me about the new Catherine Bigelow movie, A House of Dynamite. The film is about a rogue nuclear weapon fired on the United States from an adversary whose identity and motivation are never identified, and the government and military's efforts to somehow stop it from landing and killing millions. The story is presented in a repeating loop. We follow the 20 minutes or so after the alert from 3 different perspectives. There's a Situation Room officer, the deputy security advisor, and finally the President of the United States. Sound familiar? Well, that's why people are calling me about it. So we get to see a completely plausible unfolding of systems failing, missile defenses that don't work, communications breaking down, a key official out of the loop because he's having a colonoscopy. As Americans are finding out in arenas large and small, the dismantling of our administrative state might have unwanted effects. The movie gets that right. That's kind of all I liked about it. See, stories that matter to me are about people. Who are they in the moments they're forced to reckon with the unknown? What are the things pulling them in opposite directions? A House of Dynamite seems to have little interest in the people inhabiting its universe, handing them shabby backstories just sentimental enough to give plausibility to their anguished stares into the middle distance. And some of the actors do a lot with a little. Rebecca Ferguson makes it seem like she's a real person, even though her husband and feverish kids seem like they're plucked from the pages of a Vineyard Vines catalog. Friend of this show, Tracy Letts, is, as usual, terrific. As a general who is equal parts competent and arrogant, committed to an honest assessment of the facts while nastily scolding anyone in his orbit who he deems less up to the rigors of the moment. Jared Harris, who never misses, gives us an actual human emotion when trying to connect for the last time with the estranged daughter he knows is about to be annihilated. But these fleeting moments are in short supply. This movie's a procedural, like Law and Order, a TikTok movie. The clock, not the app. Bigelow has offered us a ride on a roller coaster with its undulating climbs of maybe it'll be okay and devastating drops of oh shit, we're all gonna die. And she's very skilled at building that tension and showing where the cracks in our threadbare safety net exist. But she ultimately flinches at showing much more than that. I don't hate the ambiguous ending as much as many of the film's critics do, but I do think she chickened out not giving us anyone making an actual decision about our response. The movie's viewpoint seems to be something along the lines of, damn, that would suck, right? Bigelow has made 2 other movies about America in constant war, one of which, The Hurt Locker, I like very much. Jeremy Renner, you know, the guy from the app, plays a soldier who defuses unexploded bombs during the Iraq War, and the script by Mark Bowl, who also wrote A House of Dynamite, is excruciatingly tense, exploring both the terror and the adrenaline rush these soldiers were forced to keep in balance. The movie is expertly paced, truly thrilling, and has a lot to say about the casualties of our extended boondoggle in the Middle East, foreign and domestic. Her other film in this trilogy that I made up is Zero Dark 30, which is an extended retelling of the hunt for and ultimately the killing of Osama bin Laden. This is, like A House of Dynamite, ultimately a procedural, following the CIA as it investigates leads, takes casualties, and ultimately finds its way to the compound in Abbottabad. It is gripping filmmaking. It's also, to me, morally bankrupt and a grotesque piece of propaganda. The CIA gave Bowl and Bigelow access to classified information and CIA operatives, and in return, Bull literally ran the script by CIA public affairs officials to make sure everything was accurate. What the fruits of this collaboration yielded is hard to parse, but Zero Dark 30's story claims that the CIA's torture program is what gave us the piece of information that led to the discovery of the identity of bin Laden's courier and ultimately his, pick your own euphemism, elimination. This is categorically not true. CIA Chairman Leon Panetta, Chairman of the Senate Intelligence Committee Dianne Feinstein, and Chairman of the Senate Armed Services Committee Carl Levin all stated unequivocally that intel had no connection to CIA detainees. So what function does the movie have? It tells a story where the brave Americans had no choice but to illegally torture people to get the bad guy, a claim that is morally vile in addition to being a lie. But historical films eventually become unofficial narratives, and it seems that the CIA was invested in having this version of the story in the public record. Bigelow was complicit in that effort. There's a name for that, but it isn't art. I do have to admit, I watch it whenever it comes across on cable. So what does that tell us about A House of Dynamite? I think that the movie sort of works if you believe it's an accurate depiction of this is what it could be like. But to me, Bigelow and Bull have permanently damaged their ability to be taken on good faith. Who's firing on us? Why? How come we only fired 2 interceptor missiles and then we're like, oh, wow, that didn't work, but we better save the rest of them? Why does the president have to decide right now if and how we're going to retaliate? Don't we have submarines and stuff? And if we don't know who did it, who are we supposed to be firing at? I would be totally willing to overlook all of that, but I just did not find myself invested in the people on the screen. The potential victims are mostly reduced to an abstraction, and the people with the duty to protect them seem to be too crippled by an ineffective bureaucracy to do much about it. This reduces A House of Dynamite to a horror movie. The call is coming from inside the house, and it's a nuclear weapon. Damn, that would suck, right? Anyway, there are 2 movies about nuclear conflict you may not have seen that I think you might like. One is the powerful 1984 bummer Threads, made by the BBC. That movie follows 2 families in Britain in the moments immediately before and in the years after a full-scale nuclear war. This is not a feel-good movie. It is bleak, and occasionally it's super gross, but it's one of the few films that accurately depicts what a horror show a post-nuclear world would look like. This is an extremely scary movie. If that's your kind of thing, it's on Apple TV, and also the whole thing's on YouTube. The other is the hilariously titled Panic in Year Zero! This 1962 movie stars and is directed by Ray Milland. It's about a family who's on their way to a camping trip when twin nukes hit Los Angeles. The family flees into the wilderness and has to fend for themselves while they wait for the radiation to dissipate and society to, I guess, get back to normal. It has none of Thread's gore or verisimilitude, but it does have some great Cold War panic vibes and some amazing low-budget production values, including a cave that's got to be papier-mâché. It's not exactly campy, but it does sort of play like an extended episode of The Twilight Zone with maybe a little more violence. It's also on Apple and YouTube. Thank you so much for listening. We are working hard on season 2. We would love to hear from you, either just to tell us what you think about the show or to say I can call you and find out what you do if the missile was coming right now. You can email me anytime, david@incomingpodcast.com. There's lots of cool information on incomingpodcast.com if you want. There's like behind the scenes stuff and music clips and all sorts of cool stuff. If you're trying to kill 10 minutes, go check it out. Also, come subscribe to us, please, on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, on our new YouTube channel. We are busting our asses to make a season 2 that you're all going to be very happy about. And we can't wait to share it with you. So be well. Happy Thanksgiving. Talk to you soon.